Hi, my name is Nikki, and today we'll be querying the Golden Girls.
Blanche, what are you doing lining shelves on a Friday night?
I'm working off all my excess sexual energy.
Why don't we just hook you up to the toaster and make Pop-Tarts?
So, for those who don't know what the Golden Girls is, I am going to assume that you either live under a rock or you don't know what good television is. But the Golden Girls is a show about four women above the age of 50, I would say. I think Blanche is like in her 40s, but she lies about her age a lot. So it's four women living their golden years, and they, they still have sex, they still talk about romance, they still date. It's like any other ordinary show, but these women are older women that you don't really often see being represented in television. And the four women are Dorothy, Blanche, Rose, and Sophia. So you might be asking yourself, if you live under a rock or if you've never seen good television, why is this a queer show? Well, it's queer, one, for the fact that it's starring all women, and the creator, let me see if I can look her up. The creator is a woman, Susan Harris. So the creator is Susan Harris, and and this is a show written in the 1980s, 1985 to be exact. And you don't really see a lot of women being, directors, being writers or producers in television or in movies. It's very patriarchal. And the fact that a woman creator has women, mainly all women, starring in this show is very queer. And the fact that these are older women just makes it all the more queer. And as I mentioned, these are women in their golden or older than 40, older than 50 years. They're, widowed, divorced, and they're still talking about their love lives. They're still having sex. They're still dating. They're still doing all sorts of things that you would see younger women do, like, Sex in the City. But these are older women. And I would say, given the time of like 1980s, you just didn't see that. You didn't see older women be sexually active. You just didn't see. They were grandmothers, they were mothers, and they had this whole different character to them. They were, what's the word? They were like, you know, uh, asexual, maybe. They were just asexual characters. You didn't think about their sex lives because that they were out of their prime. But this show shows that women above a certain age still, have urges. They still want to have sex. They still want to have a life outside of, motherhood, grandmotherhood. Another thing that makes the show very queer is the controversial topics that they bring up in their show in every episode. For instance, okay, so this was a show done in the 1980s at the height of the AIDS epidemic. In one episode, the character Rose, she gets a blood transfusion and she could possibly be HIV positive, and it deals with their characters reacting to that serious issue. And another example would be, the gay characters within the show. We have Blanche's brother who comes out as gay, and there's like a whole episode of that, and how Blanche, who's from the South and who comes from like a conservative family, how she deals with that. There's a whole episode of her dealing with that situation. And then another episode, Blanche's daughter gets pregnant via IVF, and it explores that area of like a single motherhood, of being not needing a man to raise children and being a single mother. So there are many things that make this show queer, but I think what it makes it the most queer is that it's just not the normative of what we're seeing on television, especially during that time. You know, we were seeing like Cheers and Taxis and Taxi, not Taxis. We were seeing shows like that, which are highly male dominated, and very little controversy comes out of those shows. But here's a show that is, you know, daring to be different, daring to talk about subjects that other people aren't talking about. And I think that's what makes it really queer. So as you can see, it's not that difficult to queer this show, simply because of, you know, the background of it. You know, it was not directed, but it was created by a woman. It's starring women. And, you know, I think if the show were made at this time, it would be a lot different, but it would still be queer. Because, you know, I would say this show is still, you know, mainly white. Although they do address race and stuff, it's very much still a white show about cisgender white women. And in a lot of the jokes and stuff are outdated given our time and given what we know now about, you know, about gender and about sexuality and all that stuff. But I still think that in its time it is a queer show, and, you know, I just think more people should enjoy it and watch it because it is a good show and it is a queer show.